Hey everyone, welcome back to Fiscal Voyage. I'm Felix, and today's video we're going to talk about some Bitcoin price action. But first off, some news. I'm sure you guys have heard of the cold card hack. Uh, Basically, right now it's been up to 1,367 Bitcoin stolen across 4,620 addresses. So this guy here, Kevin, is keeping a track on these coins. They're all currently at a one address, so we'll see if anything develops from there. But it's very unfortunate for these the people that used these cold card and got hacked. They did everything right, and it's kind of unfortunate that they were hacked. So hopefully they're able to retrieve their money, their Bitcoin. We'll see what happens with that. And also another news, Strategy increased the U.S. reserve by 250 million and repurchased 81 million of STRC and increased their duration by 57 days, almost 2 months, to 2.3 years for STRC dividends. And also with this, they to get this, they sold like 1,000 or so Bitcoin, I think it was. But with that sold, it didn't really, because obviously it was announced today on Monday, so there was probably sold it anytime in the week, maybe this day here, this big red day, they probably sold it, right? But anyway, today looks very, very good. Because basically what we have here on the daily, if we do this here, like we have support here on the 50 and the 50, which is this line here, and then the 13, the blue line, and the 21 is the orange yellow line there. So we kind of have support there and support there, and then it broke the 13 and the 21, but we had nice support here on the 50. So I was looking at this, I look at this every day, and I was like, oh, okay, we have a nice support, bottoming tail here, a little doji. We close above the doji candle, but didn't get over the 13. That's okay. Maybe the next day we get over it. But then we had this big red day on Friday, July 31st, and it was like, oh crap. And then we close under the 50 moving average. Now this becomes resistance, you can see here. So that didn't look very promising. Then we had a doji bar on Saturday, and Sunday we had a nice green bar. But then I was like, there's probably a retest. And then this morning when I woke up, we saw a red bar, because this was basically a red bar at one point. And it was like, crap, this may want to test this area here. Let me cancel this, hold on. It may want to test this area here, 61.60, and hopefully if it does test it, it bounces and then gets higher. But it kind of didn't get there, and what we got here is a bottoming tail that looks very nice. Why is this not deleting? There it is. We have a bottoming tail, so if we get a nice close here, then the 50 moving average is acting like a support now, and we just definitely need to get closed over, because we do have a kind of like a cross here, a bear cross on the 21 and the 13. So we do need to get a close above these two moving average to kind of like, okay, now we're going to have a trend back up to 65 and possibly break it and close above there on the weekly. But that looks very good there on the daily. Today's day was very good on Bitcoin price action there, with a nice bottoming tail, and hopefully the 50 is now the support area on the daily. Now we go back to the weekly here. RSI still looking on the low end here. Also the MACD, you can see here we had a green, turn green here, which is basically a buying opportunity, like a start and the momentum heading higher. So we'll see what happens. If we look here, for example, this time here on August 1st, 2022, even though it turned green, it did go lower. We were turning green at 23,000, 24,000, and then it obviously got low at 16,000, right? But, anyone who's buying at this level, after maybe a year later, didn't care of buying in that level, right? Because it got higher, and then it just continued to go higher. So this is a great point of just accumulating once it turns green. So this turned green, and now we just accumulate. Another thing I want to show you on the monthly here. which looks very nice here on the MACD. So on the last bear market, you can see here, you see how it turned red here, and then here it started to light red to dark red, which is the momentum is slowing down on the downside, and then we finally got a green dot here, which was a little higher than the low, right? But still great buying opportunity, and then we went higher, obviously. But the start of this darker red, you can see how it's like a curve here, and it's going down this way, or up rather. You can see how it started on this month here on September. It still went lower, right? You can see it still went lower, but the momentum has died down, right? And those were great buying opportunities. So this is kind of what's happening now. We had this crash here on June, but then the momentum for the selling has slowed down. So we'll see how August acts. It doesn't mean that it can't go lower, but it's just not going low hard, right? That's kind of like what's the momentum. You can see how these red bars are pretty big, and you can see the momentum is getting bigger, right? And then it starts to slow down the selling pressure and the volume and all that. So that's great. There was a great buying opportunity, kind of like at this peak here, and then just continue to buy, average monthly costs or every paycheck or whatever you get money to cost basis to increase your costs and buy more Bitcoin. And that's a great buying opportunity. So I kind of see it here as the same thing, because we don't want, you can wait just for the MACD to turn this green dot and then start buying at that point, because then the buyers are stepping in. But there's a great area to start buying. It's kind of happened here as well on the 2819 area. You can see here, once it had the light red, let me see if I can get them here. There you go. Light red and then dark red, the momentum died. We got a green month, and then which was the low of 3,400 or so, and then it went back to 13,000. You can see there. So that looks very promising on that end. But again, I get paid this week on Friday. I'm going to be buying more Bitcoin this Friday. So hopefully, I wouldn't mind buying it up here. Hopefully, we don't get a rocket higher. But any price, I'm still buying Bitcoin in these levels. It's a great buying opportunity. And the weekly, again, we need the weekly bar here. Let me see here. This weekly bar, maybe not this week, but next week it closed above it, and then it'll have to test this 13 EMA and the 21 EMA and get a close above it, and then we're definitely on the uptrend part of Bitcoin. And probably this would most likely be the low of the Bitcoin price action here, which was 57,735. So we'll see what happens. But again, it's unfortunate what happened to the users of the code card. It's unfortunate they did everything right. They have self-custody, and they still got hacked because of the vendor issue. So this is kind of always trust and verify what you got. I personally use Tracer 7. So we'll see. I checked Tracer, so they don't have any issues with this thing going on with the randomness of the seed phrase. So I look to be good on my end here. But thank you for watching. Make sure to study Bitcoin, understand Bitcoin, watch some podcasts, read some books about Bitcoin, and understand why it's even at 63,000. How did it get to 120? Why are countries buying it? Why is there even an ETF, with BlackRock buying Bitcoin and things like that, and why government, and learn about the Clarity Act that's supposedly, hopefully get passed sometime in a few weeks. So we'll see what happens with that. But study all that, and you understand why Bitcoin is so important. And thank you for watching, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.